Hunter Biden, meanwhile, copping a plea deal with federal investigators on his income tax fraud and gun charge case. Lawmakers reacting on Capitol Hill yesterday. Watch this.
What you see is, if you are the lead candidate against the current president, you get indicted, but there's jail time proposed. Here you are, the son of the president. We watched other Americans with some of these same judgments or these same challenges they had before them, that they would have jail time. This seems like it's just a slap on the wrist.
I think it's a distraction. I think Republicans are just trying to distract the American people from what's important. Hunter Biden is not conspiring with President Biden, his father, to do anything harmful to the American people. It's just unfortunate that his family is being targeted after all that he's gone through.
Hunter Biden will plead guilty to 2 counts of willful failure to pay federal income tax, to which federal prosecutors are recommending probation. He'll also enter into a pretrial diversion agreement on a separate gun charge. The Federalist's Christopher Bedford writes this: Hunter Biden's plea deal is a cover-up disguised as justice. Joining me right now is former federal prosecutor, former acting ICE director, and former DHS Deputy Assistant Secretary Jonathan Fahey. Jonathan, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks very much. Give us your reaction to the Hunter Biden news.
It's pretty amazing. I thought he would get like a sweetheart deal, but this is far better for him. I mean, this is great for Hunter Biden and even better for Joe Biden for a couple of reasons. One, this gun offense, this pretrial diversion, is really remarkable because there are people in federal prison for doing the exact same thing, and we prosecuted people for that. And I can't think of a single case where a gun offense was given pretrial diversion, and I'd love to hear if there ever was one, or even in Delaware. This is just a remarkable thing. He is not even going to be a convicted felon for this, so he can now go out and buy another gun and throw it in another dumpster. And then the tax offenses for over $1 million to get misdemeanors on this. This is really just a complete joke. And, you know, we talk about the 2 tiers of the justice system. There almost seems to be a 3rd tier for the Bidens, because this is so amazing. And just, was it last week when the special counsel was saying the law applies to everyone? Well, I think there must have been an asterisk there, because it certainly didn't apply to Hunter Biden. And there's one other thing that's really interesting about this. By saying this investigation is still ongoing, this prevents the House from being able to compel Hunter Biden to testify in their probe, which is another thing that just benefits President Biden, because this thing will continue to drift along to a world of going nowhere, but they'll be unable to ask relevant questions as to what's been going on all this time.
That's unbelievable. It's the same people who abused power are in power, and they're continuing to abuse power. Look, this is the cover of the New York Post. Hunter gets away with this picture of Hunter Biden from his laptop, naked, holding a gun. Sort of gross. But, I mean, you've got that. But the question that I'm asking, Jonathan, is how is it possible that the DOJ can defend prosecuting for someone not paying their income taxes, but not actually investigating where the income came from? Because we know that James Comer has uncovered a web of 20 LLCs where at least $10 million has gone distributed to the Biden family members. And the other day, James Comer was on this program, told me he's expecting at the end of this week to have been able to identify up to $30 million of money taken in by the Biden family from foreign nationals. How does the DOJ defend that?
Yeah, I don't know how they do it, but I think the move will be, hey, we're continuing to investigate, and that's what they're saying. So that's sort of their get off the hook trick. But it really is amazing, because the other thing that's interesting about this plea, typically in federal cases where somebody pleads guilty, they cooperate with the government as part of their plea agreement. And certainly if you get a plea this good, the government would certainly compel you to cooperate. So that would be interesting to ask the government, are they asking Hunter Biden to cooperate? Are they going to sit down and interview him and say, where's this money coming from? Why were you getting it?
Yeah.
Who else knew? Who else was involved? But my guess is the answer is no. But I think that the way they get out of it is say, we can't talk about it. It's an ongoing investigation. It'll drift along. Remember, these offenses, I think, took place almost 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And it took 5 years to get a simple case to a resolution. So it'll just drift along. It'll go nowhere. The election will pass, and then they'll ultimately do nothing with it, is my prediction.
That's exactly what they did with the Russia collusion story. They just sat on evidence, said, well, we're in an active investigation, so we can't release it. bit, but Todd, jump in here because this is the question we keep asking. Why did the Biden family accept all of this money? What was the business? What were these foreign nationals paying for?
And that's my question for you, Jonathan, because you've heard Kevin McCarthy say the bribery investigation isn't over. You have Hunter's lawyers and all Democrats being like, it's the end of the first inning. This game is over. Nothing to see here. And I'm listening to you, and you seem to allude that you think the Democrats may not be celebrating prematurely. I think a lot of Republicans and a lot of Americans hear that and are like, are you serious? Really? Like the bribery investigation is not going to go through despite what James Comer, Kevin McCarthy and the like are saying? So sum all that up. What ultimately happens with the Biden investigation, not just with regard to Hunter, but with regard to the entire Biden family?
Yeah, and by the way, let me just add one thing, Todd, and that is the lawyer for Hunter Biden said he's not sure if the laptop was being investigated.
Right.
Joke.
Well,
He's not sure if the laptop was looked at.
Yeah, the Biden family should be spiking the football here. I mean, they couldn't have gotten anything better out of this. And the thing that makes it great for them is they know the media doesn't even ask basic questions. There's just such a lack of curiosity because even if you were to just say this stuff isn't illegal, which I doubt that's the case, but there would be at least a question of like, hey, there's something wrong within a family getting so rich because one family member is involved in politics. There should be something that is abhorrent to the American people and certainly to the media as why is everyone in this family, you know, Hunter Biden, other people that do what he does are in prison. He goes to Malibu to paint. And why do we have this going on and why does nobody care? But I think really this thing's over as far as the Bidens are concerned. You know, that they can just say, look, it was looked at by an impartial U.S. attorney. They determined there's nothing there, even though that's not true. And then they'll just move on and the media will go along and take their marching orders. And it's very, very sad.
Yeah. Jonathan, thank you so much. Jonathan Fahey weighing in on all of that. Stay with us. We'll be right back with the Hot Topic Buzz.